Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy live. First time we're live. Well, public and live. I am Meffistoe, and my co-host Kyle. Oh, my feelings is right beside me. Oh, sorry. The Reel McCoy is a weekly podcast broadcast to you, the crowd. And we are talking about movies all around, concentrating on one movie a week. And but we go off on a little bit of a tangent. We have a few segments to break things up for you guys, make it a little bit more interesting. And let's start with how was your week, Kyle?
Pretty good. Okay? I think it's better than yours. As we discussed before, this is a film that we actually clash on.
Yes.
I enjoy the movie a lot, and I know that you are not the biggest fan. So this conversation is going to be a real interesting one.
Actually, it is. It is. Okay, so the movie we're talking about this week is Dredd, of course, from 2012, the dreaded 2012. This is sort of I wouldn't want to say a remake, but sort of a reboot, trying to reboot a franchise. Dredd is a character that comes from the comic book. Kyle, do you remember exactly where it came from?
Well, it's actually, he's based his own universe. It's the Dredd universe on Mega City 1. And that's basically a whole planet after multiple nuclear wars. Basically, outside of these giant mega cities, the entire world is just an irradiated wasteland. There are even ones that are based in Europe. There's like a Mega City England, which is all of London, basically, is one mega city. There's Mega City Europa. There's Mega City in Russia, there's one in China, there's Mega City Tokyo, and there's 3 in the United States. And so basically all of humanity is now put into these giant mega cities. And what they found out is that with this massive population trying to handle any kind of law enforcement is impossible. So they inevitably, what they did is they started a couple of very good law enforcement and military people were cloned, and they became judges. They put forth the judge program, and they became essentially the law enforcement for megacities. They are literally judge, jury, and executioner. They are willing to hand out any kind of punishment on site. They can murder anyone that they deem worthy of murder, of being killed. And that's essentially how the world really works. It's very authoritarian. It's a very bleak place to live. It's not a very happy story. None of the Dredd stories are very happy. But we're going to get into a little bit of that a little bit later, because I have some qualms with this interpretation of Dredd a little bit. He is that hardline asshole still, but he's not quite the character from the comics yet. And also some of the different interpretations of judges when we get to them.
Okay. So this one is starring Karl Urban. There is an earlier interpretation. There's an earlier movie called Judge Dredd. This one's called Dredd. The 1995 Sly Stallone movie is called Judge Dredd. Sorry, I'm getting a bit gassed. Never mind.
Who played it? Was it Armand Asante who played his
Armand Asante played his twin brother
Rico,
and Diane, what's her face? No. Anyways,
I can't remember the love interest in that one.
The love interest, I can't remember her name, but she played also in Unfaithful. She was the main protagonist.
Oh, Diane Lane.
Diane Lane. Diane Lane played the love interest, and the crooked. Max von Sydow played the all-knowing, magnanimous judge, and his underboss or under guy was, I don't remember the name of the guy, but he's been in many movies playing as a villain or a half villain, nefarious character, whatever. He's a character actor. Again, don't want to go into it, but that's the 1995 version.
You also forgot that Rob Schneider was in that too.
I've left that part off because we're not talking about 1995. We're talking about 2012. So in the 2012 movie, we have a little bit less characters when it comes to the judges' side. We basically have our two protagonists. We're going to get into it in a second. And later on, we have a few more judges which come into the story, but we're going to put them aside for now.
At that point, yep.
All right, so we start the movie. We get in Dredd's voice, in Karl Urban's voice, explaining what's Mega City. It stretches out from Boston to DC. We've got 800 million people living in that sort of an area. So it's Boston, New York, Philadelphia, I'm guessing, DC, and all that's in between. It's basically New York, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia-ish. Okay, that's basically the area if you're into it. We've got Karl Urban's voice explaining what is going on, saying judges are the judges, the jury, and the executioner. Judges are more like they are cops, they are military, they have supreme authority at the base level. So they are a cop that dispenses the judgment at the field, having everything. They also get into, they don't say it this time. They did say it in the first movie. They don't say it at this time, but every gun, the Lawgiver 2, right? It's the Lawgiver 2, is imprinted with DNA. So only a judge can hold the gun. Again, that is something that I kind of forgot, but in this movie, they show you, they don't tell you, as opposed to the other movie where they actually excessively tell you that that is what it does. And when it does what it does at the sort of the end of the movie, you kind of like, they showed it to me. They didn't tell me. And I did like that. The almost the only thing I like that about this movie. So, so we get a background, and then we kind of start off with the action. This movie is mostly action based. Not a lot of dialogue. Yes. Not a lot of dialogue. So we start off getting a lot of information that is show and no tell. It's a lot of show and not tell. One of the highlights for me in this movie, just showing you and not telling you. So we got this scene of sort of a perpetrators, I guess, villains, whatever, criminals running away. And we have this scene where we have the two men one guy driving or in the front seat, and the other guy in the back taking some sort of an asthma inhaler, and everything goes slow-mo. So the first thing I checked, the first scene I checked was like, did Zack Snyder kind of, I literally was on my phone. Yeah. Did Zack Snyder direct this movie or John Woo? Who the fuck? It's like, no, this, like, I don't remember the name of the director. Scott something. He's I think he's he was a video clip director that got promoted or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't
but
remember.
I think all the shots that with this drug in particular called slow-mo.
Yes, slow-mo.
I think are the best shot scenes in the entire film. The magnanimous effects that are around it, the random cascading sparkling effects that seem to appear out of nowhere, that is like you're actually like inhabiting the junkie's mind at that point while he's experiencing it. That's one of the things that I really enjoy about this movie is I just love these scenes because I think they were so well shot.
So like the slow-mo effect on all the different parts of it?
Yeah,
because there are at least 4 or 5 scenes with this depiction. So you get a very consistent slow-mo. It's not only the slow-mo, it's the sparkling effect. It's not really a haze. I don't know how they call this. It's brightening the camera, giving it a little bit of a blur, but not really, because it's blurry in some parts and it's very sharp, like close to you. Sort of a DSL or something like that. A DSL? Is it that camera that does it? DSL effect? I don't remember. I think it's called DSL, where when it's close to you, to the camera, super sharp. When it's a little bit of back, you get the blur, but you can still see what's going on.
Oh, like DSLR.
DSLR.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one. That's the one I was looking for. But yeah, we got a few of these scenes coming about. So we've got this scene where Dredd is literally chasing that vehicle. And another thing I want to, as opposed to the first film that they did with Dredd has a little bit more of a Blade Runner-esque Japanese take on it. I feel aesthetic. A lot of neons, very dark. Everything is at night, not really in the morning. Very, very dark. And this one, at least the outside parts are very bright and very sort of what you would expect of what's really going to happen. So there's the stylized version, which is the dystopian future neon dark. And the actual reality, I think, what would happen of everything is a little bit dusty, a little bit plain, not a lot of neon in this. There is a little bit, but not a lot of neon. Yeah. Very realistic. Again, dusty, I would say. Very city-like.
Well, it's I think of it as more of a realistic interpretation of what it would be of a city of 800 million people. Even in this small quadrant of it, it wouldn't be this bright lights, big spectacle all the time. Granted, it is in different quadrants because those are also, they're segmented by, their wealth and what you do as well in mega cities. So that's another thing in the comics, but yeah.
Yeah. So Dredd chases these guys down. He shoots the tires. They roll over. 2 the two main guys, or the two front guys, get killed, obviously, and we got a runaway. He steps into one of the mega structures, takes a hostage, and we have sort of a standoff, which gives us a lot of it builds Dredd's character as opposed to the Perp's character, just because he's gonna die.
Yeah,
but Dredd is like, okay, he's like, hotshot was like, what hotshot? It's like, bam, he shoots him in the face, and the flare comes in. He literally melts his fucking face from the inside.
Well, also it gives the actual how the judges actually perform, because he automatically says, like, well, you have 10 seconds to comply. I can either give you a life sentence in an ISO cube, or the sentence is death. Again, you have 10 seconds to comply. And he goes, but you have no leverage here. And that's what his that's what you think, hot shot, and then this guy gets a hot shot. Yeah.
That's the cool thing about like Dredd, is that Lawgiver 2 is like signal flare.
Yeah.
That's what I like. It's like incendiary. It's like automatic thing, and it's everything is in the bullets already. Oh, by the way, they have almost endless bullets, even though they have 2 clips.
Yeah, that's something we're gonna talk about later too.
That's literally that's like 80s action movies.
Yeah, it is.
But this time you see them interchange.
Actually reload.
That's about it. They actually reload, but once. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. So we got that part. And the first scene is like basically builds your, oh, this is Dredd. This is how he acts. I like the fact that I think this helmet is more in tune with the comics. Am I right?
Yes. Very
The
much.
old helmet is very stylized and very pretty, and this one is very.
And also, his pauldrons are like in the '95 version, or they're very campy.
They're like
it's
insanely huge.
But the pauldrons at least they're a little bit more reminiscent, which are in the comics. But that's like Rob Liefeld style drawings, where he had pouches on everything, and guys had 18 different forms of triceps.
So
this is definitely a more realistic interpretation.
Yes,
and not campy. So that's another thing why I like this version of the film a lot better, for also various other reasons. But this is definitely a more realistic interpretation of what the character could and should be. Until you get to like Planet Dredd and stuff like that, and that's comic book stuff that goes way off the deep end.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a really like a comic book reader, so it's definitely not up my alley. But yeah, I mean, I wish I would be, but I'm. I grew up with other things. That's all.
I've read this again. This is stuff I read 15, 20 years ago. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to get. I'm not being coy. I'm trying to get to a specific shot, and I don't want to do it on screen. But yeah, so we see the first scene, and then we get sort of a debriefing of the. I wouldn't call her the. Is it High Justice? I don't remember what they call it. It's like the main judge. She's not really the main judge, right?
No, she isn't. She isn't the grand judge. She is just one of like a facilitator in there, just kind of part of the bureaucracy that keeps the plotting in its paces. Yeah. But she's the overseers of the judges in Dredd's district. So she kind of oversees Dredd.
Yeah,
and what he's doing.
Yeah, here we go. It's not really the shot that I wanted, but it's really hard to pinpoint the exact thing. Oh, come on, man. All right. So we got this judge. I don't remember if they ever say her name.
Don't believe they do. I think the only person that's actually mentioned by name who's a judge outside of the ones we see later is Anderson, who's
yeah, I think so too. So Anderson We don't get a shot. I wanted the shot where they're looking at her through the like special glass, where it's so stupid because Anderson is a rookie that is teetering on failure, but the judges keep her around, or the high justice or whoever controls the judges keep her around because they found out she's a very powerful psychic, the most powerful psychic that they found to date.
Correct.
And they think that it would be helpful that they have judges that can literally read the minds of the perps. And what she asks of Dredd is to literally take her under his wing and see if she can hold up as an actual judge on the field doing solo work, because most of the judges' work is actual solo work.
Yep.
So that is that. And Dredd is like, no. He was like, no. So you don't have a choice. You're gonna have to take her on.
You have to give her examination. You have to see if it's pass fail. You have to.
Yeah. So we leave this scene. We have a continuation of that scene, but first we go into this place where again we have a nice little depiction of how slow-mo actually works. Mm-hmm. So this is Mama, aka Cersei Lannister. Sure. This is Mama. She's the head of the Mama gang, and she's taking a bath. Don't worry, we're not gonna do her a shame walk because Lena Headey is very demure. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, this is the start of the scene where we need to get the sort of the other side. We got the hero side scenes. Now we have the villain side, or the antagonist side of who is the other side. So we got Mama, who is the leader of a gang. They found 3 traitors or something like that. So they get skinned alive. They literally give them more slow-mo, and then they throw them to literally give them the most torture possible. So first torture is literally skinning them alive. Second torture is falling into their death, even though they're probably dead, falling into their death while experience it in a very slow motion action.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up is that sort of torture in itself, how cruel would that actually be as a form of actual just execution in itself, knowing the fact that you cannot stop the fact that you're going to die and you're experiencing that for an extended period of time.
Yes, it is. It builds up how cruel Mama and the gang, and the whole gang is, because they're all like very single-mindedness, and we're literally gonna experience it later as the medical guy is gonna literally give Dredd the rundown of the Mama gang and how they became so powerful, but that's a little bit later. But yeah, we get this, and this kind of kicks off the movie in terms of, oh, this is the case, and Dredd is being called to this case and taking Anderson with him.
Well, that's actually the odd thing is that there were multiple cases that came across, and it was this 1034 at Peachtree's, which is what this building is, and Judge Dredd asks Anderson, so what do you want to do? You want to take this one or the next one? She goes, well, take this one. So had she had not taken this, how would the movie have played out? So I like that little bit of, this is just a small segment of how outrageously fucked up their society is, that this is probably something that happens every single day. There's nothing they can do about it. And this is just a small snippet of a snippet of a snippet of how corrupt, cruel, and evil their society really is.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is a nice little picture before they head off because they're literally on their bikes, and she decides that part. But just before that, they go down to the bikes, right? And Dredd gives her the rundown of what is a pass and a fail. So he gives her like, oh, if you lose your weapon, automatic fail. You fail to comply with my orders, automatic fail. You fail to do this, automatic fail. It's like, and literally before he tells her what do you want to do? What do you want to take? What case do you want to take? It was like, okay, your assessment starts and now.
Yeah.
And that, when we hark to the end of the movie, it's like your assessment ends and now. So we have sort of a framework of what is going on and what is she getting tested on, basically. Want to give you a little bit. Oh yeah, I want this shot because oddly enough, it's important to me. This shot is almost the only shot in the entire movie where Anderson has her helmet on. Because later she takes it off, and he's telling her, "Where's your helmet?" It disturbs my psychic abilities.
Well, that's about one of the only jokes that Dredd says in the movies too. He goes, "Do you know what's also going to make your psychic abilities worse? A bullet in your head."
Yes. I think that's almost the only joke he says. He's got a few. Yeah. It's like one-liners where
little quips that he says.
Little quips before people get killed. Mainly when people get killed on the floor. So they go to Peach Trees. And everybody's like, "Oh, judges." And they talk to, we've got plenty of things that I cannot put on screen because we're on YouTube, by the way.
So
I've searched for clips, but I've searched for clips for this movie. There are few and far between. A lot of them do not have depictions of ultra violence and blood. So I have to be super careful when it comes to picking up things. Well,
just a short synopsis of the scene is really when they show up to Peach Trees. The first person.
I'm gonna show it. Don't worry, I'm gonna show it. Hold.
Okay.
There we go.
So that's the paramedic they meet.
Yeah, that's the paramedic guy. We're gonna see him later on in a few more times.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gives them what happened, and they kind of search for a little bit more information, and then he gives them the rundown. We had a few gangs. This gang, the one of the gangs were called the Judged, and they literally tattoo the judge's helmet on their face. Sort of like I don't remember what the Mexican equivalent, but there is a Mexican gang that has either tattooed or painted on a skull face on their head. Again, I don't remember.
Oh, like
actual real life. It's sort of El Morte, whatever, right? The dead.
It's not MS-13. Is that?
It's either MS-13 or Alpha 66. I don't remember what the name, but they're the El Mortes, whatever. Anyway, so this guy tells them at the end of the day, and we see a few scenes where literally people pay homage to the Mama clan and literally take over the entire building piece by piece. Everybody gets in line, and everybody's in the Mama gang eventually. And the action kind of begins with here we go. He tells them a little bit about Mama as well. Here.
They pull the IDs with the rest of the bodies because they're able to do the automatic DNA testing and figure out who the people that got killed. They realize, these were all former junkies or narcotics runners, and they were all either working with or used to work with Madeline Marshall, who was Mama.
Yes, who is she was a prostitute, and her either pimp or a client kind of went to town on her face.
Correct.
And she executed him with immense pleasure.
Yes.
And she kind of became the leader from then on end. All right.
And that also shows that it's also a critique on their society too, where only the cruelest really win.
Yeah. Do you remember how many people live in Peachtrees?
75,000.
75,000. That's very specific. 75,000.
It was in one building with 75,000 people.
Yes.
So.
And you later on, you see a shot of Mega City, and you see it's mostly flat, but with like these mega structures coming in, and you go, oh, that's 75. That's 75. Just count them, and for miles and miles and miles and miles around, it is. It's a nice little shot. It's a good little. To give you a reminder that 800 million people live in a very relatively tiny zone, if you think about it. So Dredd and Anderson find out there is on floor 30 something. I think it's 39 or 35 or something like that. The people there lived, the people who died. So they go out and investigate, and they crash. Oh, I can't see. Oh, okay. Let's just say they crash a party.
Yes.
With a lot of people who just came in to get slow-mo. So it's sort of I think later on they call it one of the distribution lines or one of the distribution places.
Yeah.
On
a modern
equivalent
would be a crack house. Essentially, that's what it is.
It's basically basically a crack house, and they kill a bunch of people, right? Including these two boys. This one, right? The one that is sitting lower down, the white dude, takes a bullet into his face, into his cheek. This movie is very visceral when it comes to like deaths and blood and a lot.
I'm sorry. There's one thing I did want to mention that was very different from the comics and the
go ahead.
This interpretation of this. When they first go into the building, there is that panhandler, the homeless man who's sitting out there. He goes, "Well, it's for vagrancy. That's 3 weeks." Yeah. That's 3 weeks in an ISO cube. Like, no, that would not be in Judge Dredd. Even the most minor transgressions, as in smoking outside of designated smoking areas, would get you 3 to 5 years in an ISO cube.
Okay.
And what an ISO cube is what it's telling what it is. It's solitary confinement for that period of time. So,
I thought the ISO cubes is like it's like Demolition Man. Don't they freeze you in ice?
No, it's like solitary confinement. No, you're confined in an open space and you are cognizant the whole time.
All right then.
That's
way worse.
It's far bleaker. It's far bleaker. So like even modern vagrancy or like loitering, or if you were to litter, that would get littering would get you a year in an ISO cube.
Damn, that's strict.
Yeah. So that's a thing that I found.
The thing is, he doesn't enforce that. He's like, okay, we have a much important job to do inside. When we get back, don't
be here.
Do not be here.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, it's like he's not there because he's a bum.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what they do is they grab a prisoner, and Anderson, because she's psychic, she's like, oh, this guy knows more. This guy's like the main guy, is like a main dealer here. And he knows about the skinnings. She gets like she scans him or something, and the skinning part comes up, and she says to Dredd, this guy is 99% responsible for the skinnings. And Dredd says, I cannot judge at 99%.
Yeah.
So they have to take him for interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't fly with Mama.
So, and this
At
is
all.
funny because we just talked about that homeless man. This is when they're getting out and they're getting.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Just a few more scenes. But yeah, they take him in. Mama's second in command kind of tells her, look, we know this guy got caught. He has a name, but it's irrelevant. This guy got caught. We don't want him to be interrogated. Or there's something about I don't know if they're going to interrogate him. And Mama says, oh, they taking him alive. He's definitely going to be interrogated, and he's definitely going to tell about what we're going to do, because now there is another story where Mama's crew is not just Peach Trees, which is the building. She is literally controlling the slow-mo drug throughout the city, and the city is massive. The city is absolutely massive. And
it's important to note too that slow-mo is technically now still new on the market, and it's now the big new drug to do. So it's expanding rapidly. So this is why for her to protect it so viciously makes sense.
Yeah,
she's also a terrible monster, but there's
that too. There's that too. So the main crew goes in and goes to the building control center, takes it over, and of course Mama's got her techie guy, which will come up later on.
Most unfortunate soul in the whole film.
Yeah, the most unfortunate soul, but he gets sort of his due, sort of. So they take over the building and they activate something called a war mode, which locks down the entire building as if it was sort of a planning for a military thing, I guess.
Well, what it is, it's actually in response, and I actually love this reference, and I'm so happy that they used it, because in the comics as well, the first major nuclear war that happened that made half the world an irradiated wasteland, that wasn't the only one that happened. There were several others that happened. It was just only after the first one they decided to put all these basically bunker shields around mass populated areas and popular buildings such as peach trees. So it's basically them initiating what the protocol would be if a nuclear strike was found to be inbound.
Yeah,
just to put everybody in a giant bunker, essentially.
Yeah. So,
and this is it.
The judges come out, and
what did I tell you?
I told you not to be here. Right. It's like 3 weeks in IsoCube. Come with us. And as he says it, the blast doors kind of close down, and this guy is being squished like a grape. Yes. And we got a nice little puddle, which I can't really show. A nice little puddle of blood, but everything goes into red alert mode, so everything's red anyways. But yeah, you can definitely tell the pool of blood around that door, and they're stuck, and they can't even communicate to the outside because communications don't work with blast doors coming down. Mm-hmm. So they're stuck. And of course, Mama comes up on the old PA system and tells the entire building that she wants the judges dead. And I think she says 50,000 credits, right? 50,000 credits to for those who killed the judges. So that
and then he said, and for anyone else, stay inside. If you find out that if you've ever helped them or anything, you and your children are dead.
Yeah. And of course, everybody who lives there knows she means it, and everybody gets locked down. Everybody gets behind their doors and minding their own business, which doesn't really it affected the lower levels, I guess, because in the higher levels later on, it seems like people are on the outside with fucking Vulcans shooting everywhere, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody was outside on the 75th floor or whatever it is, because that was insane. But yeah, everybody's clearing out, and they get attacked. And not only do they get attacked, they have to protect their asset this time because they want to interrogate him.
Wasn't Dredd who says that? He goes, "I bet that you know far more than she can even see right now, because I bet that if we would have just killed you from the get-go, we would have walked out of here and everything would have been fine."
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So they get a bunch of people. Oh yeah, I want to get to this point. I'm not sure I can show everything, but I'll show the scene and I'll talk about what happens sort of at the end of it. There we go. I got it. So,
yeah, Anderson. Mm-hmm.
Anderson. So this is where you get like sort of the first test, but they're not surrounded, but they have a large group of people running through them. We get a nice little Dredd quip in this point. He throws out a stun grenade. It's sort of a flashbang, but without the bang. So a flash. And they burst through the doors, kill everybody. But one kind of is still alive. For some reason, it's stuck in my head. He's holding a Luger, an old World War II Luger.
Yeah.
That was odd, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's still alive, and Anderson needs to dispense justice
because he's clearly mortally wounded and he was going to die anyway. But Judge Dredd has to keep the assessment going, so he has to let her know. Well, it's up to you. Attempted murder of a judge, that's a capital offense. That means he has to die. So dispense justice.
Yeah, and she. Basically, we have sort of a hesitation scene, and then she just does it.
Yeah. Well, you can see that.
What's weird to me is she did not have any qualms, and that's only because I watched it 3 times and not just once. She did not have any qualms to burst through the door and kill people while they were standing up, yet she had a major problem killing a guy who was down on the floor, literally with a gun in his hand, that wants to kill her, but he literally did not have the strength to lift it because he was dying. He was like riddled with bullets.
Well, there's also a little bit of character, I wouldn't say growth, but a character change in her from what she experiences throughout this to the version of Anderson we see at the end of the film.
True, but again, if you ever did, I'm sure you haven't, but I have. If you ever did a break into a house tactical insert, one of the major things they teach you is do not hesitate. Do not hesitate for a second. When when they did the get into the corridor and burst out, split into 2, and it's basically you burst in, you split out.
It's like a pincer.
No, it's not. You go into like they have like this little opening, so it's like a door, and you have to go in and take the opposite corners, because when you have the opposite corners and you shoot, you don't hit each other. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you see, they're standing on the opposite sides of the room.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Right. That's a tactical thing. That's okay. I get it. Okay. If you hesitate for a second, you're dead. When she bursts in with Dredd, she was not hesitant for a second. Yet she is hesitant when everything is calmed down and it's like eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah.
That is very different. That is very, very, very different. When you burst in, it's like practice dummies. You don't see the eyes. You see you see silhouettes.
Yeah. Well, there's a line that gets mentioned before where he has Anderson, "Are you ready?" before they break in down the door. Because Yes, I'm fine. I'm ready. You don't look like you're ready.
Yeah,
That comes back later.
that comes like later. Yes, I know.
Because she's saying no, it's just adrenaline. It's just adrenaline. So, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I know. Right. So they burst through that zone, and then we get to this point with the medical guy, and the medical guy is like, "I cannot let you in. I'm sorry."
I'm technically neutral, which actually he is factually correct. In the comics, he's right, because they're only supposed to take care of civilians. They're supposed to assist judges if they're wounded. They are not wounded, so he is absolutely doing everything fine.
He literally says, "I need to live here after you leave."
Yeah,
And take care of the people around me. And he doesn't mean the perps. He means the actual people who live there.
correct.
So yeah. All right. So with this, we will do a stop, and we head off to our first segment of the night.
All right.
Our first segment of the night. Let me prepare this. And what is our first segment of the night? What we do every single week is I find around 20 movie posters that had their text deleted, or before the text came in, or it was a poster of some sort of thing that like a promotional thing that was in the Cinemaplex or whatever it is, and it only meant to promote the movie. And what we'll do is I'll put it up, and I'll have Kyle and the chat guess which movie it is. We've got Saphira in the chat, so we basically gonna head over. No, it's okay. It's okay. All right. So here we go.
It's anger management.
No, it is not.
No, it's oh god. No, it's about anger management.
Chat, don't fail me. It's not about anger management. This is Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal.
I remember I hated this movie.
Not one of my favorites either. Also has a sequel that is extremely bad.
Yes.
Come on, chat. Don't let me down.
Cannot think of it.
All right. Analyze this.
And the sequel was Analyze That.
Exactly. Next.
That is Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
That's Hilary Swank in...
That is Hilary Swank, correct.
Boys Don't Cry.
Boys Don't Cry, correct, sir. Let's move on.
Clue.
I know it's not much. No, it's not Clue.
It's not Clue.
It's not much, but that's what the name was, like this, like in an arc and a little bit below as well.
Low. Is that Murder on the Orient Express?
No.
It's not 12 Little Indians.
No.
You picked out some stumpers this week, because I
didn't think I would get you stuck. It is Murder on the Nile.
Murder on the Nile.
Murder on the Nile. So you're close.
Is that Die Hard?
That is Die Hard, but which one?
Okay. That's part Die Hard with a Vengeance, right? That's part
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Highlander. Oh, that's a good movie.
No, that is Highlander, but not the first one.
Is that part 2?
That is part 2. The Quickening.
Awful. That part 2 is awful. The Highlander's awesome, but
you haven't seen part 3, I guess.
I have. Meh. Okay.
I picked good ones this week.
It's not War Games.
Not War Games. Do you want to know the people?
Well, I know that's Dennis Quaid,
That is Dennis
Martin
Quaid,
Short,
Martin
and
Short,
Melanie
and
Griffith.
no, that is Meg Ryan.
Oh, it's Meg Ryan. Okay.
She was his wife at
Man.
the time, or right after this movie.
Oh, now deep cut 80s films. I lose. I get lost there.
It's a movie that I've seen 50 times between the ages of 13 and 15 and never seen it since. I've seen this movie countless times when I was a teenager.
It's well, I know it's not Short Circuit. What?
It's not Short Circuit. No.
I don't know.
Inner Space, because
I've
he is
never
inside. Oh, no.
Never seen it.
You have to correct it. All right. Moving
That
on.
is Meet Joe Black.
Meet Joe Black, which I've seen 10 times. No, just no.
Is that a Passenger 51?
No, close.
Passenger 451?
No, close.
Come on, numbers. Come on, you got to give me that.
No, it is numbers. As Martin, you're going to be stumped. So, as Martin Lawrence said it in Bad Boys, Passenger 57. Wow.
Yeah. I still count that for myself because passengers are the most important part of that. So
yeah.
Yeah, you're going real deep cuts on 80s films this week, and I am screwed on this.
Good.
Because that's
it's not only Meet Joe Black is 2010 or something. 20.
Oh no, it was in the late 90s.
No.
Really? Because Benjamin Button was in the 2010s.
Saf says Passenger 47. Right, come on. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jim Belushi. Arnold's playing Russian guy. Jim Belushi's playing an asshole cop. So normal.
I haven't the slightest.
Red Heat.
Again, another movie I have never seen. So that's two movies I've never seen before.
All right.
Is that supposed to be Leaving Las Vegas?
No, it is not. But I knew that it would throw you off. It's Nicolas Cage. It is in Vegas, but it's not Leaving Las Vegas.
Con Air?
No.
Because Con Air does take place in Vegas. Snake Eyes?
End, yes. Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes. Yeah, Snake Eyes. Okay. Teen Wolf.
Oh, it says so. Oh, no. Right. That's on me. That's on me.
Oh,
right. This it's fine because the other ones you didn't get.
That was so brilliant. Oh god, I'm trying to see who that is at the bottom. Denzel, Angelina Jolie, and is that
is Angelina Jolie at the bottom.
At the bottom. Oh boy,
this one's a tough one. It's a newer one. It's not 80s.
Yeah, it's not Man on Fire.
No.
It's not any of the Equalizers.
No. A little bit earlier than that.
I don't have it.
When I say it, you'll be, oh yeah, The Bone Collector.
Sure.
The Bone Collector.
I think I saw that movie once and I didn't like it.
This is
a remake.
This is a remake. It's The Longest Yard. Yes, it is. Got you stumped again.
The fuck is this supposed to be?
Okay, so who's the older guy?
It's obviously that Sean Connery.
That is Sean Connery. Who's the young guy?
A child. I do.
That is Christian Slater's first movie role.
Wow.
That is Christian Slater. Sean Connery plays a Franciscan monk.
No, nothing.
In the Name of the Rose. Beautiful movie. Beautiful
Another movie I have not seen.
Wow. All right, next.
That's the Running Man?
That is the Running Man, correct. And the last, I think this one is the last one.
That is that supposed to be, is that the remake of True Grit?
The remake? True Grit, correct.
Yeah.
True Grit. Another one, sorry. And another one after that.
That is Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
Great comedy. That's The Fugitive.
No.
I just saw Tommy Lee Jones with the gun.
It is Tommy Lee Jones. It is a gun.
It's not The Fugitive.
It's not The Fugitive.
I'm trying to get what the hell that thing is swinging at the bottom there.
That is a dude.
I know that enough. I'm just trying to deter from context if I can figure out who the hell that's supposed to be.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Wesley Snipes.
Snipes.
Yeah.
No, you got me.
You wanted to know who the dude is, so it's Wesley Snipes.
No, you got me on this one too. Yeah.
U.S. Marshals. Also appearing Robert Downey Jr. Still coked up Robert Downey Jr.
And actually, that's 4 movies I've never seen in this list.
Speaking of Robert Downey Jr., can you tell how I escalated things in somewhat way? But yeah, last one. This is the absolutely last one. Yeah,
that's not Zodiac, is it?
Zodiac as well. Yes, very good, very good, very good. The San Francisco thing, maybe that could have.
No, it was Mark, our buddy Mark Ruffalo. That's what gave me that context clue there.
Okay. So it's Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., and
Dick Gyllenhaal.
The most hated guy in show business, Dick Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
I would say that Family Guy only I can think of the last 20 seasons of Family Guy, they gave one good joke where there's like, oh, this is like the Gyllenhaal twins fighting over who's worse. And it's Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal. I'm more off-putting. No, I'm more off-putting. No, I'm more off-putting. And their mom just walks in and goes, kids, stop. You're both just terrible.
Well, Maggie has a trait that I like as opposed to Jake. She gets naked in a lot of her movies, and she is a woman.
Yeah, the secretary.
I prefer that to Jake.
Yeah.
Even though he did one movie where he's I think he plays the detective of a girl who got kidnapped, and the father is Hugh Jackman. I don't remember who the mother is, but the father is Hugh Jackman, and it's very dark.
Was that Prisoners?
No. I don't remember. I don't remember the name. I think it's Abducted. So Hugh Jackman's daughter gets abducted, and she's like an 8-year-old girl, and Jake Gyllenhaal is after that, and Hugh Jackman kind of gets out and tries to find his daughter, and Jake is like, "Sir, you need to like give me some space because you're interfering." But Hugh Jackman kind of is the one that kind of finds out who it is, but not really. But it leads to other things. It's super dark. If any father to any child, boy or girl, at that 8 to 10 bracket is like, oh, I know what Hugh Jackman is feeling. And
on that dark note, did you see the most recent Denzel Washington movie with Rami Malek called The Little Things?
No.
Oh, it's a great movie, but it's a one watch and you don't
one and done, and you don't want to.
It's like you're like, okay, that was a really good movie. I'd never want to see that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get to the point back to Dredd. We get to the point where they kind of bust open into an apartment. Don't remember. I've again seen it 3 times. Don't remember how we got to this point. I absolutely. They take the prisoner with them. Again, don't remember his name. They take the prisoner with them, and they kind of burst open into this door. We get to this woman who she does not want them in that apartment.
Mm-hmm.
She is definitely don't want to give them any more information. She doesn't want them in her apartment because she knows that if she harbors a judge, she is dead and her children are dead. But she gives them a little bit more information about the elevator. She said that the service elevator is not supposed to go up because it's like out of order or something, but it will go up past 75.
Yeah.
And that's the way that they go
and
up.
this is also like this is another kind of character moment for Anderson because she figures out that is the wife of the man that she executed in the previous scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Mama and the crew are pissed, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting very, very annoyed that they have 2 judges running around with a prized possession, aka another member of the gang, an important member of the gang who knows his shit. But Mama is again with our dude here, our ex machina guy. Don't remember his name, but he's been into more things that I didn't think he was in a lot of stuff that I know, but he's been in a lot of movies that I know, like a lot. But here is like he's a very demure kind of situation, being the tech dude. They want them. They don't know how to corner them. And again, this part is a lot of like back and forth action, and they get cornered and kind of they throw down bars, but it's not between Anderson and Dredd.
Mm-hmm.
They get stuck at a certain point, and Dredd says, well, you should go downstairs and hide. She doesn't really go downstairs and hide. She just goes out to where the service elevator is. He literally tells her, go downstairs and get it in a defensive position.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that at all, which is weird. That's an automatic fail.
Yeah, and this is where we have that first interaction between Anderson and the perp, right? Where they have that.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
So Anderson is. I'm going to skip the naughty parts.
Yeah, I can't really show that.
Yeah, you can't really show it. So we've got Anderson here. She's literally pressing against the sort of a concrete wall of, I'm guessing, the elevator, but on the other side. And the perp is literally right next to her. And they have sort of a back and forth about, oh, you're a mutant, your thing. He kind of tries to get on her nerves. And he goes like, oh, what am I thinking now? And he's thinking about fucking her, basically.
Yeah.
And she says to him, if you want to shock me with that sort of thing, you can't shock me. And he says, well, if I wanted to shock you, I would think about this. And that the scene is like, oh, there is nothing so in the movie that you can show that would be super shocking. If they don't show it and just say it, it literally triggers as an audience. It literally triggers. Wait. What is so shocking that they cannot show me on screen, which is not like pornography or whatever, right? So it's either BDSM or worse, I'm guessing. Depravity of a certain kind. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
What? I assume it has to be something
bestiality.
I I think it had to be something with also probably what is his previous crimes. It's I think like he skinned people alive. Imagine what other cruelties and he's inflicted on people.
Exactly. So this is where the director of the movie was like, this is so deprived. And again, this movie is ultra violent and ultra graphic. So if they don't show you, and the director says this is so violent or so messed up, I cannot even show you this in an hard R-rated movie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it gets your mind going. And we get to this part, which is absolutely fun. By the way, I don't know. I've seen these fire in real life. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah. And you would think it would be loud. It's not. Mm-hmm. When you hear this thing up close, it's like, it's sort of very muffled sound, but the amount of bullets that come off from this, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases of this thing. When you shoot it full clip, like you press the button and shoot, for this amount of bullets, it's about 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. It's insane. You never shoot it full clip, by the way. You never go press, and from start to finish, you never do. Literally, the muzzles, all the muzzles get so hot, they bend. Mm-hmm. They bend. It's insane.
Isn't it? Wouldn't it, if you were to actually do a full open fire, isn't it something around like 5,000 rounds per minute?
6,000 or 6,000. 6,000 clip, and it takes about 20 seconds. It's insane, this gun. It's more insane. Like if we're gonna watch Predator later on in the month, but it's insane. The amount of firepower that this thing produces. If you the destruction it actually causes in this movie, it is absolutely correct.
Yeah,
it is absolutely correct. Now, it's a bit much, I would say. It's a bit much. So Mama's like, I fuck this shit. I know they're in level whatever 75 or whatever level this is. They put up these guns and they just they annihilate a full sector of the building. It's like the west wing. So it divides in 4. So there's the west, east, south, and north. I think it's the west one. They completely annihilate. I'll reach to that after this point. So like I said, we said earlier that for me, it was surprisingly for people who were told to stay in the house, there were surprisingly a lot of people in the corridors. And they knew that they seen them set up. What did they think that what would happen?
Well, there's that, and also you have to pose the question: how many of them are working for Mama to begin with?
Exactly,
because they said that when they first walked in, the unemployment rate for the entire building was 96%.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's the thing that kind of is like, really?
Yeah.
There's a shot here. Trying to get to it. No, it's hard. It's too hard. The jump cuts are so fast in this section.
Yeah,
it literally mimics the rate of fire. So 2 seconds you see a guy gunned down. Like 2 seconds later you see Mama shooting. Then you move on to Dredd running away from the fire. Then you see like Anderson for a second. Then you see again with Mama or one of the other group kind of fires. Then you see the destruction. Then it's just so like super fast, but it tries to depict Mama literally has no care whatsoever. Mm-hmm. She just presses. It's like a 2 thumbstick presses it, and it just fires, and it's destruction galore. But not only that, it actually pierces through. They fire so many bullets, it pierces through. And it gives Dredd a chance to have a high explosive and destroy part of the blast blast doors or blast windows, I would say. And it gets to the point where there's a little balcony where the skateboarders are. So they have a skate park that is literally an outside of the building thing, which is an it's an interesting design. And no, it's like a terrace thing.
Yeah,
where it goes out, and that's where the skate park is, because there's no room. There's literally no room. But that kind of allows them to signal central, right? So this part right here, right? So Anderson's out, the other guy, the prisoner is out, and Dredd is out, and he's like, central, blah blah blah, 1086. We've got multiple homicides. We need backup. And Central says, okay. It's like, it's so immediate. It's like, okay, we'll send you. No problem. Right? Which, doesn't give to the credibility of this whole thing.
Well, and in a lot of ways, though, it does kind of lend credence to the I guess you could call it the caliber of judge that Dredd was, and how he's considered actually at high justice, because he's like immediately, as soon as he calls for backup, he's getting backup. Yeah.
I'm gonna go back a few scenes before. I'm trying to give you, this is before the destruction. This is just they just fire from side to side, sort of mimicking block wars, I would say. And block wars were a thing in the 1995. I'm just wondering if block wars were a thing in the comics. Was that a thing even?
No, not really. There were like inner turf and gang wars in the comics, but they typically never kept them actually inside the buildings. Side note, Mama actually was a character in the comics as well.
Okay.
But she didn't die in the way, well, she does in this, but that's a whole other thing. There's a worse. What happened to Mama is far, far worse in the books.
And we have this scene again. It's like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, where you see the cameras kind of shut down at that, because this is just the quarter. This like the north, this is the south, and this is the east or west, right? I'm guessing east. Mm-hmm. So they're firing from west to east, and sort of they destroy so much of these apartments and these corridors. All these cameras kind of turn off one after the other, signifying the absolute destruction these guns do. So they go out, they invite, they kind of find everything, and there's a search party, right? The gang sends out the search party with Mama's lieutenant, and one of the guys saying, "Oh, they must be dead." And the lieutenant says, "Oh, no, if we don't find them, they're not dead."
Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. If we don't find the bodies, they're not dead. And they go body by body to see if what's going on. And they don't find them because they're not dead.
Well, it's oddly enough, that's what every single horror film protagonist should follow.
Yeah.
Make sure they're dead.
Let me see.
Now, this is where the first backup comes and they get kind of shooed away.
Yeah. No, not really. No. This is the part where Dredd is like, if they destroyed a whole floor or a whole sector of a floor to make sure we're not stepping out with this prisoner.
Yeah, this is where it comes.
We have to interrogate him now. Now. So they literally burst through a classroom, or sort of it looks like a classroom, right?
Yep.
And it's interrogation time. This is the only one I can show.
Yeah.
But
this is the second time that she actually goes into his mind, but actually takes over.
Yeah,
where he can't do anything.
Yeah, so this one starts off as we see a sort of an image where she goes into his mind, and she explains to him that it's his mind. He can do whatever he wants. That's why he doesn't have blood. He's sort of like, he has an image of himself in his mind where he doesn't, he's not wounded or anything, and he can do whatever he wants. So basically what he does is he strips her down. You don't see her naked, but he strips her down, and he kind of makes her avatar to literally suck his own dick. But as she goes down, she don't, of course, see anything, but she literally comes from his shoulder, is like, oh, you think you're in control with this?
Yeah. And it's Mama.
I'm in control. And he looks down, and it's Mama with
who
a piece
obviously
of
bit it off.
Bit it off, yeah. And in that way, she kind of cracks his mind in a way, because he's in some sort of a distress or anything or something. And that's how she finds out that Mama is not, she is the biggest distributor of slow-mo. That's how we get to find out she's the distributor of slow-mo.
Well, that, like,
in a vast scale.
Yeah. And like Peachtree's is like the biggest actual producing area of slow-mo. So
exactly. So at this point, we get two judges coming in, trying to buzz in, and we've got the tech guy being controlled, right? Quote unquote, controlled by Mama, literally scaring him off. And he says, well, we're fine. Everything is fine. We've got a fire up on whatever floor. We're taking care of it. And don't worry about it. The judge, look, open the blast doors. And he's like, I can't really, we have a malfunction in the system because we've got a fire, blah, blah, blah. And the judge was like, okay, we'll wait. I mean, they have no way to open up these doors apart from, I don't know,
them opening them. There's absolutely no way for them to get in. So they have to kind of just wait for right now.
Yeah. But yeah, we see another, like, sort of a character development for the tech guy, where we see why he's compliant, because he doesn't want to do it, but he fears for his life. So he's controlled by absolute fear. Yeah. I guess this part at this, oh no, wait. So we have, this part. So we have sort of a back and forth between Dredd and Anderson, and these two numbskulls show up.
It's freeze.
And,
why should I freeze?
Why should I freeze? That's Dredd.
If you don't freeze, I'm going to shoot you. He goes like, what are you going to do? Shoot me with the safety on? And they both turn and they look at their guns like absolute idiots. And he shoots them with a stun round. He said it's either 5 years in the juvie cube or an execution now. I mean, it's so stupid. And then he shoots him with a stunner, but of course our prisoner takes control of Anderson. He gets her gun, but if you notice, he didn't put his hand on the trigger. Yeah, he actually has her hand on the gun still, and he has just it pressed up against her cheek.
Yeah, I think
while he's pulling her back.
Yeah, and he's taking her to the whatever 150th floor or something like that. And he's like, later on, he tells her, do you have any idea what a girl like you is gonna go through? Not in these words, but it's like, do you know what they're gonna do with you? You have no idea. It's beyond what I can think. That's sort of kind of what I got from it is like, oh, you are going to get foobarred.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they get her to Mama, and Mama says, nobody touches her. Call 911. It's like, what? Yeah, nobody touches her. Call 911.
Because what she says is, I don't want, no, I want this to look by the books. No torture, no skinning, no raping, just a whole bunch of bullets in the face and in the chest. That's it.
Yes. But she specifically says she needs to be alive.
Yeah.
And like
it was
nobody touch. And
the techie guy asked
Yeah.
her, goes, what are we going to do about this guy? And she goes, call the cops.
Yeah, call 911.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah, call 911, bitch. And they do. They call 911. Oh, no. Sorry. They try to communicate with Dredd, and Dredd is going into, they want to flesh him out. And they sort of given him a way to do it, where he goes into one of the booths. And
that's right. He's like, use the PA system. Let him keep on the PA system.
Yeah,
and we can find out exactly where he is.
She wants him to use the PA system.
Mm-hmm.
And there he drops the line, I am the law, which is a line that is definitely from the comics, because Sly Stallone loved to use it in the other movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am the law is like very important. So he's like, okay, listen to this. I am the law. Mama's whatever doing to you, but I'm here. Backup is on the way. And she's like, call 911.
It was that one guy who shoots him when he's supposed to be in that booth, and he goes, yeah, shot him like 4 times. He's still not going down. As they all move out there, he shoots that incendiary round.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about this guy? We'll call 911.
So we have, it's very hard to show specific parts, but yeah. So they came in, they zero in on his place. They shoot the booth, right? So they can see hits, they can see blood. They open up and it's this random guy, and he's on the other side. So standing here, it's like incendiary, and he shoots, and it's sort of a, I don't know if you've seen it, but a phosphorus shot. So it goes one, and then it splits.
Yeah,
because that's the material they put in for incendiaries. It literally is a one little big flare, but it's not really a flare.
Yeah,
and from the speed, it actually splits. That's what causes the mass amount of damage.
So that was all white phosphorus then, right?
That is white phosphorus. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That is white phosphorus. It is very, very, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. Okay. I've seen it deployed, never seen it deployed on humans ever, because it's not allowed.
Yeah.
No, it's not allowed.
Well, it's called a war crime. We don't do that anymore.
It's called a war crime. We do enough war crimes over here. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. But yeah, it's very bad. It's super flammable. It's not incendiary in the fact that it burns, but it's more of a chemical burn, but not like we've seen a chemical burn in Fight Club. It's more of a superheated. It's just as soon as it touches you, the phosphorus just ignites on like clothing.
Yeah,
but it literally continues through like an acid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, it's super bad. So he blows up that entire crew, and we kind of noticed that Mama actually realized that her crew is going down and down and down, and she's left with just the men that are in that room with her. So they call in the cavalry. They call 911. They call the judges. They call 4 judges.
Yes.
So the 4 judges come in, and the 2 judges. Remember, the 2 judges are on the outside, and the judges on the outside are like the central, or not central, but the command center can't open these blast doors, and the guy's like buzzing in. It was like, open, and it opens
immediately. Yeah, you've been relieved.
Yeah,
just fuck off.
and just go away.
And
so these
with the look on that one guy's face, I'm sorry, I have to say it. He looks. I bet if you took his helmet off, he would look exactly like Freaky Kazarian.
Could be. But these are not judges that came to dispense actual justice. These are judges that came to hunt down and kill Dredd, basically. So they go in and they see the bodies that were there that were thrown.
And they're already starting to tell their own story on how what their version of what happened.
Yeah. That's how this is the story we hear. Later on, we kind of figure it out, but they tell the story that, oh, this is what happens, and the two judges were found dead, blah, blah, blah. And we got the medical guy coming in and was like, no, dude, this is not how it happened. Mm-hmm. This is how it happened. And the main guy was like, are you going to testify for this? And he says yes. So ba-bam, and he's dead. Because you can't do that. No. Can't do that.
But I find funny is they're already showing that even like the corruption and cruelty and everything in the society is so pervasive that even those that are above the law, that are the law, are still corrupt. Yeah. And that's that's another thing, and that's really pervasive in Dredd too.
We'll talk about it when we get to the scene where we have the actual, not really a face-to-face, but a sort of a face-to-face kind of confrontation. But first, we get to our second segment where we head over to flickchart.com. And what we do in this segment is we take two movies and we face them together. And we found out, or we decide, me and you, decide which one is better. Now, I've already prompted the couple that we're going to start with, and I think it's a good one.
Okay.
I think it's a good one. So we're going to go to this. So we have two movies, and we decide which one is better. Our criteria, again, every single week, is at the end of the day, which one would rather watch? If it was a Friday or Saturday evening, I want to sit back, relax, and watch a movie. If it comes down to that, right? So, Natural Born Killers with coked up Robert Downey Jr. and the original Terminator.
I have to go Natural Born Killers, because for me, it has such a cultural impact. And also, I was so big into Nine Inch Nails then, and Trent Reznor did the entire soundtrack.
I want to say I'm not with you, but I'm absolutely fucking with you on this one. Natural Born Killers is a very, very underrated and forgotten movies these days.
Yes.
At a year where it actually shined. It was disturbing. It was good. We had even a plot twist at the end, because I'm not going to say it. And it's by, of all people, Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Oliver Stone.
Well, that and beforehand, Woody Harrelson was only known as the
Cheers guy.
The idiot guy from Cheers. Yeah.
And then this one, he literally broke into the scene. This is, of course, after White Man Can Jump, which was good, but it more highlighted Wesley Snipes. Rather than Woody Harrelson.
And even like Rosie Perez was really great in White Man
Rosie Perez was really good. Good. The Da Vinci Code or Close Encounters of the Third Kind? For me, Close Encounters.
Yeah. If your movie has literally just a key change that is so pervasive that it's part of culture, you win. You win hands down.
Because it means something.
Yes.
It means something. Chicago or Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Both won an innumerous amount of Oscars, by the way.
Yes. I have to go with Return of the King, because I think that Lord of the Rings trilogy is probably one of the best trilogies of all time.
I agree.
It's
I
right up
agree.
there with the original Star Wars trilogy. They're neck and neck all the time with me.
I agree, and I actively hate musical movies.
Oh,
I actively hate
That's
musical movies. The Prestige and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. For me, The Prestige, very underrated movie.
Yes,
it
The
had
Prestige.
it had both the Wolverine and Batman in it.
Yeah,
and Black Widow.
And also, I love the twist in The Prestige. I really do. But I have to say, like, you know me, I hate all the Harry Potter movies. So
I hate all
it's
the
obviously
Harry
the
Potter
Prestige
movies.
move.
Yeah,
The Prestige automatically wins.
Yeah. All right. The Social Network or The Nutty Professor?
I have
one caveat on this one.
Oh, go ahead.
Doesn't matter which one we choose. The Nutty Professor, and I think you'll agree with me, is the first movie that Eddie Murphy does not have the laugh. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Eddie Murphy had a specific laugh where he's like,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
This is the first movie, and from this movie on, and doesn't even matter, he didn't do stand-up in the 90s, but from this movie on towards like today, he never did the laugh.
Yeah, because was Bowfinger after this?
Yes.
Yeah, and he didn't have it then. Yeah, you're right. I still have to give it the Social Network because you know who also did the soundtrack to the Social Network?
Trent Reznor.
Bingo!
I would give it to Social Network because it's a more compelling story, I would say. All right. 10 Things I Hate About You or Ocean's 12. Now, Ocean's 12 for me is the worst of the three.
I wholeheartedly agree. I'm still a sucker for heist films, but I do really like 10 Things I Hate About You because I think that was probably Heath Ledger's best early role.
That is Heath Ledger's first role.
Yeah. So First Night was after that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is his absolute first. Yeah, and then he had The Night Story.
Yeah.
And I can't remember his entire film. Oh, The Patriot was after this.
Yeah.
The Patriot, where he never mind. Spoiler. National Treasure or Porky's? I have an affinity for Porky's. I'm sorry.
I have to say Porky's.
Just because it's so iconic. It's like, for me, it's like Revenge of the Nerds, but I've seen Revenge of the Nerds before this one.
Yeah. To me, it goes right up there with like a comedy all-star films like Animal House. Watch Animal House and watch Porky's. It's just, you just have fun.
Yeah.
And also we mentioned this before, but Kim Cattrall was in Porky's.
Yes,
and Kim Cattrall almost didn't get the role in Big Trouble in Little China because she was in Porky's.
Exactly. The thing is, National Treasure would have been an awesome movie if Nicolas Cage was actually Indiana Jones.
That's fair.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. All right, Chronicles of Narnia, the first one. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Harry Potter. This one goes to Narnia.
Yeah.
Not even asking you. Eternal Sunshine in the Spotless Mind and Forrest Gump.
We're going to fight about this one, I think. Yes. I know you don't like Eternal Sunshine in the Spotless Mind. It's one of my favorite movies. Don't get me wrong. I love Forrest Gump. I think it is still slightly overrated. And I think Eternal Sunshine in the Spotless Mind is very underrated, and I love that movie. So that's where my vote's going. I know yours is going for Forrest Gump, though. So gonna have to go with the.
Let's just say this. Let's just say this. Yes, we're gonna go. We're gonna go with chat. So, Saf, give your selection quick. I said it last week. I do not like the movie. Yeah. I appreciate it for the masterpiece that it is. It is a masterpiece of filmography. Don't get me wrong. Forrest Gump is one of my favorite Tom Hanks's movies.
That's fair.
And we have a crowd selection, so it's Forrest Gump.
I said,
Right.
No one was really losing in that confrontation anyway. They're both great movies, so
They're both great movies.
Yeah.
Even though I hate Eternal Sunshine, I can acknowledge the acting performance of both actors in it and how it's shot and how it's like the composition, everything about it.
Yeah.
Talladega Nights or Aladdin. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat. Aladdin is the only Disney movie I can tolerate.
Right.
Only Disney movie I can tolerate because of Robin Williams. He makes the movie.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Parts of it.
I don't know. I love like the early 90s Disney movies. Aladdin is up there, but it's not my favorite. However, Talladega Nights was right when I graduated from college. Like, you know, that dumb part of your life when you graduate from college and you find any comedy just like absolutely hilarious because you're maybe doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen makes it for me.
Yes.
I don't particularly like the Will Ferrell and please remind
John
me
C.
the
Reilly?
other guy. John C. Reilly. I don't particularly like them as a couple. I didn't like them in The Brothers. I didn't, or
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers. I didn't like them in the other movie that they did. I just don't like the pairing. I know why it works, but I just don't like it.
That's fine.
But we're gonna give it this time to Talladega Nights because Ricky Bobby.
Well, because also, you know, what Ricky Bobby told me was like, yeah, you know what? And we should sit around, we can watch Highlander. Was that, the best movie ever?
Yeah.
It won the Academy Award. What's that? For best movie ever?
Right. Ferris Bueller's Day Off or Indiana Jones, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the one that they shouldn't have made.
Ferris Bueller. Yeah.
Ferris Bueller. Easy choice. Castaway, which is the movie he did right after Forrest Gump. No. No. He did something before this, but I don't remember which one it is. And Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. What say you, sir?
I'm going to have to go with Castaway because I didn't really like Prince of Thieves.
In hindsight, I didn't like Prince of Thieves either. But also, the fact that it exists kind of made sure Robin Hood, Prince Men in Tights happened.
Was made. Yeah, that's
true. And it was a derivative of this one. But I'm gonna go with Castaway. It's just a better movie. It's a little bit more boring, but yeah. All right, Original Cube and Top Gun. By the way, do you know that Original Cube for a very long time was the most profitable movie ever made at a certain point?
Really? Was just that because the budget was so low? The
budget was $800,000 and it made 57. No, the budget was the budget was 1.5 million and they made 30,000. 30 million, sorry.
30 million, yeah.
So that's and Sector 7, I think. Sector 7? The one that they shot in South Africa.
Oh, Sector 9, the one with the
Sector 9. Sector
aliens,
9 was shot for about 750,000 and made 80 million. That's the most profitable movie ever.
Yeah. I have to go with Top Gun though, because Top Gun's a classic.
I like it when the movie poster says coming 2012 and it still hasn't come out. The next one.
Scarface.
Right. Scarface. Logan or a Goofy movie? Do we even have to say anything?
No, you don't have to. Logan. That's I think that might be Hugh Jackman's best role of his entire career.
It's up there for me. Yes. It's up there. All right, last one. The Inside Man or My Big Fat Greek Wedding. You know what? I have not seen The Inside Man. It's weird, but I haven't. Right. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas or My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
I have to go with My Big Fat Greek Wedding because I absolutely abhor Jim Carrey as the Grinch. I was also working at a movie theater at the time, and I wanted to kill every single family that came in. That movie was insanely popular, and I was miserable the whole time.
I showed this to my kid. I've seen half of it once. I didn't like it. Then I've had it on Netflix. Started to give it to my kids to see the reaction. They did not like it at all. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. All right.
There we go.
That'll be it for a good pairing. Constantine or Karate Kid? The kid, right? But yeah.
Impact, have to give it a kid. I really like Constantine, though. I think that's also another underrated comic.
Underrated. It's underrated.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So the crew, the back to Dredd, the judge crew, the corrupt judge crew, go up to Mama, and that's the important thing. They come up and they say, "Well, we need 1 million credits." And she says, "Oh, the price is very high." Say, "Do you know who you're dealing with?" She says, "No." It says, "I do. 1 million credits."
Yeah.
So they know exactly who they're dealing with, even though they're from a different sector. I think Dredd is 13 and they're from 9, something like that.
You got the numbers right on. They're from Sector 9. Yep.
Yeah, Sector 9.
So and their first confrontation really shows how good of a judge Dredd is.
Yes.
Because he asked him one question. Yeah. He goes, "Oh, well, I heard you called for backup for 1." And Dredd immediately asks him, "Don't you mean 2?" Yeah. And immediately start firing each other. Exactly.
They don't. I don't think they're like they try to fire. They miss each other, and then he goes into like close contact.
Yeah.
And he literally just pushes his jaw up, and that's it.
He pushes his gun into his throat and then slams it.
Slams it.
So
he slams it.
Yeah. It breaks his windpipe, basically.
Yeah, and when the other cops came, he's spitting up blood and he just collapses
all over. Yeah.
And they go into they come into the productions. Oh yeah, this part. Yeah. Before the production area confrontation. So we go back to Anderson, and this harks back to the absolute start of the movie where we said the Lawgiver 2, one of the most important things is it matches the DNA for a specific judge. Not we see it a little bit later, and I'll bring it up. It's a specific judge. So we have our prisoner, again, I don't remember his name. He doesn't have the finger on the trigger, so he actually holds the gun like you're supposed to, with the finger on top of where the trigger trigger house, I don't remember what it's called in English, but it's where the trigger is. He holds it just outside, so that's okay. You can hold the Lawgiver in your hand. As soon as you put your hand on the trigger, that's where it triggers the ID. And it shows you that at the start where Dredd kind of starts he puts his vest on, he puts his helmet on, he puts his Lawgiver on, and you can see on the side where it just the check the ID thing.
Yep.
Right. So we have sort of a back and forth, and they talk about,
because he goes, "Oh, you guys don't know what you stepped in when you came in trying to fuck with the Mama clan," and he says that, of course, that pejorative line, "Oh, you were so fucked, bitch," and she says, "Well, that's funny because I was going to say the exact same thing to you," and it just blows up in his hand.
This is it. This is as far as I can show. The fact that she has her like messed up hair, and she like lifts in, and Hugh Jackman said it a long time ago. If you want to look menacing, or if you're trying to be if you're trying to convey a feeling of a hunter hunting, you don't look at a victim. You lower your head and you look through your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of, I've never seen it before, but I've seen it. I've seen him talk how he portrayed Wolverine. He says Wolverine never looks at you. He looks at you through the eyebrows because he is an animal. He is out to hunt you. So this is not really that, but she lifts her head and she looks him, if you can see, through the eye. The direction is this.
Mm-hmm.
Through the eyebrows, like, oh, funny. It's like, I think you're fucked, bitch. And kaboom.
Boom.
Yeah.
Which I find it funny. This is actually, it's part of the comics and everything. But Guillermo del Toro actually stole this in Blade 2, but it was also shown in Blade 1, where he would, when anyone else picked up his sword but didn't click right, it would just and its spikes would pop out and obviously impale it on their hand. So
did he get that from that?
He got it. They got that from the original Dredd comics.
Oh,
the imprinting. So
that's interesting.
Little side stuff.
Yeah, just saying, for the longest time, I didn't think Blade was a comic, but everyone I talked to, like, of course it was a comic. What are you talking about? It's like, at the time, it was the most successful comic book film ever.
Yeah,
ever. Yeah. So we get to a production zone. We sort of giving back and forth of like Anderson escaping, basically, and we see Mama kind of knows that the judges need to do their thing. The corrupt judges need to do their thing. So she gets into her main quarters and she gets locked behind a very thick steel door.
Yeah, because it was the female one the female corrupt judge who tells her, go get into your bunker. I'll go after Anderson, because it's like, oh, well, you don't have to worry about it. I'll play naive, like I'm going to help her, and then I'll kill her. And if she doesn't believe me, I'll kill her.
She sort of like explains. So if she's unarmed, then I'll kill her. If she's armed, I'm gonna approach her. She's gonna hesitate, and I'll kill her.
Yeah.
So,
and this is also showing that little bit of character growth, you could call it that, on Anderson's part, because now she is not hesitant to kill at all. She's going from scene, just murdering people. And when this female judge comes up to her, she psychically she was able to, I don't know if it's because she's distressed that her powers are working at a higher level, but she immediately interprets the fact that she's trying to come to kill her. So she doesn't even shoot. She doesn't hesitate. She shoots her first.
Yes.
Like she doesn't get a word in edgewise and just kills her.
Yeah. So, but before we're literally one scene before we get to the scene where they're in the production zone. And we got the two corrupt judges, and Lex, who's the leader. Not in this particular scene, but as they spread out, he's like, Dredd, do you know what the mega city is? It's a meat grinder. People step in at the other one side, and they get grounded out into meat on the other side. And he tells them, look, after. And Dredd was like, you're the law, you're the justice. It was like, after 20 years, time to think about, other things.
Well, he said also at the meat grinder, things like, and we're the things that are pushing the meat through the grinder. That's what we are.
Yeah. Yeah. We're basically we're in charge, and it's time to collect. It's basically it. So, I want to get to that scene. Come on. So they chase him around. They shoot everything out there. There's a few workers there that are still there and they're running. Oddly enough, they don't get shot. But whatever. So we get to the point where, oh, come on, man. Oh, it's such a short scene with Anderson. But yeah, we get to the point where the female judge, the corrupt female judge, kind of confronts Anderson.
Yeah.
And Anderson is like activating her spidey senses. And she literally does not drop the gun down. She literally just waits, gets the information, and kablam, unloads, and the judge just drops.
Yep.
And we get to the point where Dredd takes out the other judge, not Lex, but the other judge.
The judge, yeah.
But he runs out of bullets.
And that's what I was going to bring up. They're like, this is the one point where he runs out of ammunition.
Exactly. And you see it throughout where he's like, he at one point looks at it and he knows his ammo is low. Mm-hmm. Not in this point, but a little bit earlier. And suddenly, after he kills one judge, he's down. And the other corrupt judge, is like, oh, he's behind the wall. Let's have armor piercing. And he's literally just sprays until he gets Dredd. Dredd gets a belly shot through everything.
Yeah.
And he just collapses.
Then Lex walks up to him and he goes, so what does the mighty Judge Dredd have to say before he dies? And he looks up at Lex and goes, wait. Lex goes, is that it? What, you had to wait for one last second clinging on to life like that? And then he just gets shot in the face.
Yeah, he gets sprayed all over the place.
He goes,
like,
no,
wait until she gets
her.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. So we got it. And we see a good scene. I can't really show it because it's too graphic. So this is the time where Dredd is like, oh, this is a teaching moment. We have and he goes like, okay, standard kit of field dressing. And he sprays some sort of material into the wound. Then he closes out the wound. And the thing is, he kind of clips everything like they do today. And after he finishes, the clips kind of automatically close everything.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome thing. It's an awesome thing. I liked it. I mean, I don't like the sight of blood that much, but I can appreciate the technology.
Yeah,
I guess. So Dredd and Anderson get to sort of the control room outside of Mama's quarters. They meet with the techie guy, and she grabs them, and Dredd is like, okay, dispense justice. Time for justice.
Yep.
And she gets the images of him being tortured. He gets his eyes poked out, and we see, going back to the scenes where we saw with Mama with the knife at his belly and sort of other scenes. And she says, well, we're letting him go.
Yeah.
And Dredd says, well, if you let him go and he's a felon, that is a crime. So it's automatic fail for you.
No, he goes, well, if you're aiding and abetting the escape of a fugitive, then you're obviously you're committing a crime. That means an automatic fail. She goes, no, I've already automatically failed when someone overtook my weapon. So obviously I've already failed. I'm just dispensing the correct kind of justice. He's not a felon. He's a victim.
Yeah,
and we're letting him go.
Yeah. And she says, well, besides that, the code is 4957 or whatever. So let's just finish this.
So, yeah.
She's into like, okay, we're done. I know I failed, but we're going to finish this. So that is like sort of like the last building block of her character in this particular movie, where you see the full sort of full transition between the timid rookie and into a judge, basically.
Very much so.
Moving into a judge. So they go in, and we see Mama's kind of putting some sort of an attachment before they break in, because she knows something. We're going to discuss it. They break in, shoot the two people. Anderson gets shot. She goes down. So we've got Dredd and Mama with a showdown for the ages. And Mama, of course, saying, there's rigged explosives all around this floor. And if this floor goes down, the 50 floors below me go down. And the 50 floors below me go down, this entire building goes down.
Yep.
And the device is tied into my heartbeat. So if I die, if you kill me, you condemn everybody around me, including you, to death. So that's 75,000. That's why I asked you why you know how many people there are. So we know in our mind that every block is 75,000. So if one block drops down, that is a lot of people. Not including the judges and all that stuff.
Yep.
And Dredd is like,
the sentence is still
sentence is still death. But he doesn't kill her. He shoots her in the stomach, sort of in the same place he got shot. I don't know if you noticed or not.
Yep.
But sort of in the same place he got shot. And he's like, that is a very small transmitter. Does it
go through
work?
100 floors of concrete?
Yeah. Can it go through
floors of concrete?
Exactly. So he kind of says, well, I'm going to drop you now and enjoy this. But also because it's all about justice, right? He gives her, he busts her through the window, but before he literally drops her down, he gives her one hit of the slow-mo, so she'll be tortured the same way she tortured other people when those people who got skinned and thrown.
Yep, exactly.
Which is, again,
and imagine that
moral, maybe justified. I think so.
But also think of just as those skin people too.
Yeah.
The immense amount of pain she was in from being shot in the stomach. That pain is cycling on for basically ever in her mind as she's slowly falling to her death and knowing there's no way she can stop it.
Yeah, and not only that, we get the final slow-mo scene, and it's super
up her face.
It literally, if you have the escalation of the movie, but going down in a downward order. So she goes down, she sees the incendiary part. Mm-hmm. She goes down, she see where where they shot the entire sector of the building, right? So the western part of the building. She goes down a little bit further where they shot, where she sent everybody to kill the judges at first. So she sees a lot of people who got shot from her own clan. And then we get a scene where I can't really show, where you literally see her face squashed into the concrete of the absolute ground floor, and basically blood and guts and all that.
There's
stuff.
A little side shot. Then next it shows her wrist where the device is, and it starts like flashing from blue to red, and it starts flashing red, but nothing happens because the transmitter is so weak. Yeah.
This is as far as I can show.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is absolutely moments before the death. So there's no woman with a bell saying shame, shame, shame. But again, we see the bright effect, the twinkles, not only from the glass, but also an added twinkle that the slow-mo does. and the sort of she's in focus and the other things are very, very blurred. You can see everything, but it's very blurred. So the same slow-mo effect throughout the movie, and it's good. So everything gets open, judges roll in, and we have this scene where we get the Chief Justice. I wouldn't say Chief Justice, but the commanding officer comes in to Dredd. Anderson gives Dredd her badge, right?
Yep.
This is before she gives him his badge because she knows she failed, because she said so when they were on the top floor. The commanding officer comes to Dredd and she's like, "Okay, what's our assessment? Is she qualified? Is she capable of being a judge?" And she says, "Pass or fail." And he says, "Pass." And that's about it.
Yeah, and the rest is just a big wide shot that zooms out of the judges rolling into peach trees, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's basically the end of the movie. We see we see one more shot. One more shot, not this one. Not this one. That's what she got. This is the one where
judge.
It's Judge
Dredd's back on his bike.
Back on his bike, taking another case. It's like a central. I'm on it, and it's like roll away. End of the movie. Roll credits. Bop bop bop. That's it. All right. So that is a very long rundown of a very short movie.
Yes.
Very, very short movie. Now, final opinions. For me,
I know that you didn't like it. I know.
For me, I did not like this movie at all. I did not like the movie at all. I appreciated the aesthetics. I didn't like them. Much prefer a neon-filled dystopia circa 90s Japan-ish when they thought it's 2050. Sort of, I prefer more of a cyberpunk-esque thing. This was less cyberpunk and more in-your-face realism.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. Appreciated it. Didn't like it. The story was very monotone. Kind of reminded me of old 80s movies, but not stuff that I actually liked.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine.
I enjoyed the development that Anderson had, but and Dredd being an absolute beast. It's just, it didn't. Let me give you, like, in harsh terms, it didn't get my dick hard. It's supposed to, but it didn't.
Yeah,
I can't put my finger on it why, but I just didn't. I think I wrote you exactly. I said it in the pre-show for you. I literally texted you 10 minutes into the movie and I said, "This is terrible."
Yeah,
this is terrible. I don't like it. You give me your opinion. Why do you like this movie?
I like it because obviously, I have read the comic books before, and I liked this interpretation of Dredd. I thought it was more loyal to the older Dredd books, which were very gritty, very in your face, very supposed to be a little bit more realistic. Obviously, not too realistic, but more down to earth. Not the campy, shticky kind of stuff that was the Judge Dredd movie from 1995.
Yes.
I love the certain cinematography in it. I love all of the slow-mo scenes. I think they did an amazing job with how they gave the audience the interpretation of the user having that effect on them. and the world around them changing, even though it obviously was not for everyone else around them. I love that. I love the character portrayal of Anderson and her change, and she actually is a character in the books as well. So her interpretation in this, I like the more naive character walking into this. It reminds me a lot of, it's kind of an odd choice, but it reminds me a lot of Training Day.
I can see the parallels. I can see a little bit different because we have sort of a different story, composition of story. But yeah, the hardened sort of a take charge cop and the new kind of naive guy coming in to an already established crew, or not only crew, but comes into a new partnership, basically.
Showing that also even segments of the authority that they're working with are also corrupt, because there were those corrupt cops that were also working with Denzel's character in Training Day. So that parallel too, I really like that. And I don't know. I'm also just a sucker for any decent comic book adaptation, because there have been so many awful ones. And when there's a good one, you kind of just go, you know what, this actually is kind of something just a little bit special, because it could have been god awful.
For me, I don't mind gore and stuff, but this was at a certain point, I think it was for shock value. I didn't see the point in it.
That's a very good point. And honestly, I think that's the reason why I like the adaptation of it, because they were trying to remain true to some of the things that were in the books, and the books are very violent. They do not shy away from things like that. So that's why I was like, okay, I get the reason why they showed how much hyper violence as they did, because they are trying to remain somewhat faithful to the source material.
Yeah, I get it. I just, maybe it's not for me. I would say maybe
that's
like I said.
fine.
I said it's terrible. I don't mean to say it's a terrible movie. It's a very, like I said, it's a 2012 movie that, barred from the technical issues, so the slow-mo, shot composition, the things that you can do with cameras or with editing these days that you couldn't do in 1985. It could easily be a gory 1985 simple action popcorn movie that would have done just as well in 2012, 1997, and 1986.
Yeah.
Or even 1975 for that matter.
Yeah,
if you could do
the
effects, basically.
I guess there's also one other thing that I really liked about it is it reminded me of one of my favorite movies of all time, which is The Raid. Which doesn't have really much dialogue to it. It's just action set piece after action set piece after action set piece. And that's all it is. It's just stunningly shot, and it's the choreography and the fight choreography in it is just absolutely amazing. So it kind of reminds me of that too. So there's that.
All right.
But again, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're not going to agree on everything, and that's perfectly fine.
Maybe we're not going to even agree on the next movie, even though I think you liked it and you have a certain connection to it. I'm going to lead us off into the next podcast, which will be in 2 weeks' time. We're going to take a 1 week hiatus for Mr. Kyle, Mr. Oh My Feelings, to have his 4th of July weekend. He's going to spend that with his family. And I am going to spend a lot of time working because we do not have a short version. As I've explained to Kyle off stream, there was not a lot of things I could work with that I can actually show on YouTube. So the short would have been like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that particularly good because there's not a lot of meat on the bone. But In 2 weeks' time, so after we finish our 1 week hiatus, we are coming back with Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1989, I believe. 1989. Who Framed Roger Rabbit with Anthony Hopkins and
Anthony Hopkins.
No.
It's Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins and several other people that I don't know the name of, but he's
Christopher Lloyd is
Lloyd is the main protagonist. He plays the judge. Bob Hoskins plays our main protagonist, the PI guy. Mm-hmm. And of course, the voice of Roger Rabbit is a guy I never knew, never remembered, didn't even read the credits, but I will have it once we watch it. Okay.
Was that Mel Blanc?
No. It's a very young guy. I don't remember his name. He specifically did Roger Rabbit. He came up with Roger Rabbit. Maybe he worked with Mel Blanc, but he specifically had his voice. I think the story was that they wanted to bring in Mel Blanc, but they wanted a fresh Rabbit. Mel Blanc was in the movie.
Yes.
Not as Roger Rabbit.
As are most of all of the Warner Brothers.
He was most of the every other
voice actors.
So he was Porky Pig. He was Daffy Duck. He was Bugs Bunny as well.
It's like this is one of the first times ever that Warner Brothers actually released their back catalog of characters to be utilized in a film
with Disney.
This is also before Space Jam.
Yes,
which we won't talk about.
Maybe after 2000 podcasts, maybe we'll get to that one. All right.
And also with Jessica Rabbit, the character that launched Rule 34 for a lot of kids.
Really? Note that we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Rule 34? So PG-13?
Well, Rule 34 is, right?
No.
If you can think of it, there's porn of it. And Jessica Rabbit was a very attractive female character.
So fan art.
Yes, fan art.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was of something completely different, but okay. Okay. Yes. Played by not Sybil Shepherd, Catherine. I can't remember the name. She played a lot of movies with Michael Douglas.
Kathleen Turner?
Kathleen Turner. Kathleen Turner is Jessica Rabbit. But that's like after Bob Hoskins is like the most famous name in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2 weeks' time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Go watch it. Go watch it. Watch it again and come back. When we come back at, let me look at the, we are coming back July 10th, Saturday, July 10th, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific at this hour in 2 weeks' time. Until then, my boy, thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed I hope you enjoyed, guys out there. And give us a like on the video. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will be back very shortly.